Goals or habits? What's more important? Welcome to Be Fab, Be You Made Simple, your daily dose of inspiration designed to help you reinvent yourself by optimizing your body and mind. I am Maria Horstman, a health editor and coach, a fitness trainer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, founder of BeFabBeYou.com. Our episodes are short and will bring you valuable content and practical nuggets for optimal health and fitness that you can implement ASAP. Let's get you to feel fabulous every day. Are you ready? Check out the show notes too. 1, schedule a free call with me to discuss a plan to take your health to the next level. 2, submit a question to be featured in our Ask Me Anything episodes on Sundays. Connect with me on social media and much more. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, share with your friends and leave it a rating. Goals or habits? What's more important? Let's talk about that. Welcome back to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. This is your host, Maria Horstman. And I'm excited to be here and continue the conversation about building habits, consistency, and so much more. But let me tell you this, I got some funny story to share with you, and I gotta share because it made my heart sing, and maybe it will make your heart sing too as you think about something similar to yourself or about yourself. So it was early this week, I started listening to a book, and right into the beginning of a chapter, the author says something about one of his favorite books being The Little Engine That Could. And he was associating that book, that story that he loved to hear over and over and over, and how that actually shaped into who he was, his curiosity, and what, made him believe that he could do things. And it was at a capacity, basically, of increasing, anyone's willpower or capacity because somebody pushed someone else to the limits. But anyway, the moment that he said that, I stopped and I'm like, what were these stories that I wanted to listen over and over and over as a kid? And to me, there was basically only one story that I wanted to listen over and over. And that was the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I immediately stopped. I mean, listen, I'm 47 years old now, 46, not 47 yet. We're still June. I got a few more months of 46. And we're in June 2021. And I remember just my sister, who is 15 years older than me, just saying, I'm sick and tired of this story, because I wanted to listen to it all the time. So if she was 15, I was 6. And so I do not know the age. She must have been between 12 and 15, because I know she started working at 15. I got to ask her that question. But anyway, I was young. I want to say between 3 and 6, I want to say. So this has been 40 years, and I don't remember listening to these stories at all. But what do? I stopped everything, and I'm like, I need to figure out why I love that story. And in order to figure that out, I need to find this story again, because I didn't remember all the details of it. Plus, I wanted to find this story in Portuguese, because really that's where, how I listen. It was a story in Portuguese. And by the way, back then, we didn't have TVs with the movies or anything like that. These were the vinyl discs. Yes, depending on your age that you're listening to this, you don't even know what I'm talking about, or maybe you do. But those are big vinyl discs, and we had, a set with several of these Disney stories. And I remember these stories, okay, being around, especially when we're cleaning the house and things like that. And I do remember loving the Snow White. So what do? I went to YouTube, and yes, I put, Branca de Neve, which is the translation of Snow White, and in Portuguese. And I said Branca de Neve in Portuguese. And I found it. I found the movie, which I must have watched that movie maybe once as an adult. Maybe I don't recall, honestly. But I'm listening to this thing and watching this thing, and I'm cracking up, and all these emotions come back and made me feel literally like a kid. I was laughing out loud, and also made me kind of think how incredible the work that Walt Disney did back then, right? This story, I think, is in the late 30s, early 40s. And I think they did all this by hand as well. But look, I mean, if you're interested on this, I mean, go back and find it, because if I found it in Portuguese, I'm sure there is the first version of the movie in English as well. If you're interested, go and search on YouTube. You're gonna get the answers. Anyway, I'm watching this stuff and I'm super excited. And I send a message to my sister in Brazil through WhatsApp, and we start conversing. And says, "Hey, my sister loved the Rapunzel story. I think is maybe Tangled, the girl who was in a big tower, tall tower, and she put her head down so her mom, could climb up and give her food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. I think it's called Rapunzel." And knowing as much of my sister as I do, I could immediately associate why she loved that story so much. The story is really what I think. It's just it as a staple, I think, of my sister, how she felt about things until today, actually, in her 50s. And I'm sending her this information that says, "Oh my God, I'm listening to the YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out what made me love the Snow White." And anyway, while I'm watching the movie, my sister goes and she actually finds the vinyls, on YouTube for 3 of the favorite stories: the Snow White, the Rapunzel, and also she says, "I also loved the Ugly Duckling." Um, and I listened. First I watched the movie, and then I listened to all the vinyls, and I was a kid again. And this is incredible memories that came back. And, I'm sharing this because, first of all, I have a smile on my face. You probably can sense that, and bring so much joy into my heart, and it made me realize, and it says, man, there's so many things about the childhood that we go on life and we kind of forget about it. And as adults, we are so into our adulthood and our busy schedules, and trying to be better and better, or whatever your goals are, that we forget these joyful moments. So maybe you want to experiment like I am experimenting, and which is, what is the childhood stories that you were fascinated as a kid, and really go back to them, read that book or watch the movie, whatever it was for you, and try to associate with you today. And did that carry a long ways? So for me, I'm still figuring out. Honestly, I watched the movie and I was fascinated. I was laughing and having a ball, really. And then I listened to the vinyl, which really put me into the living room of my house back in Brazil. And I'm, there's a few things that make me consider, but here is a funny thing. Oh, goodness. So when I was a kid, my mom says that I didn't like to take showers much. I just wanted to play. I didn't want to take care of my body and showers. And then for a long time, I had long hair. And so my mom would cuss me out around because I didn't want to take showers and wash my hair. Anyway, I was watching the Snow White movie. This is hilarious. So the Snow White gets to the house of the seven dwarfs and she starts cooking and whatever. Well, they meet and she basically says, well, dinner will be served after you shower. And the Snow White and the seven dwarfs look at each other, shower? We don't have a party to go. Why do I need to shower right now? And she's like, yes, you got to shower before you eat. You got to be clean. And they all like, no. And then they start actually, well, let's go one by one, she says. And let me see your hands. They all put their hands, they hide their hands behind their back. And she goes one by one, call by name, each one of them. And they pull their hands off, it is dirty, freaking dirty. And each one of them. And it was just freaking hilarious. I know it's hilarious to me. Maybe you want to watch the movie too, be reminded of it. And as a kid, I didn't watch the movie, but obviously I text my sister and I said, you know what? Maybe that's why I didn't like to shower. I was just like one of those dwarfs. But anyway, the vinyl story doesn't say much about their dirty hands or anything. So obviously that was not the case. Okay. So anyway, let's go back to our goals and habits or habits conversation today. And we're going to speak specifically why we kind of need to create new habits. All right. So goals or habits, what's more important? I guess I'm going to rephrase the question too and say, why do you need to create new habits? And I know I'm using kind of need over here. That's a strong word and somebody might be listening and you might be thinking, who are you to tell me what I need? Well, just replace the word I need and listen on, okay? So while you're busy creating goals for yourself, there is one thing you need to remember. Habits are more important than goals. Yes, that's my answer to that. And why? It's because it is hard to complete the tasks required to achieve a goal if you have not formed a good habit first. Yes, I know. We try to avoid these darn habits, right? Or it's too difficult and so on. But then we're kind of, I cannot accomplish my goals. Or maybe you don't put your goals, period. You don't set them up. I met plenty of people, many, who say, no, don't establish goals. Why? I'm not going to achieve anyway. Whoa. The question is why they're not achieving anyway. You see, sometimes people don't want to hear this stuff. They don't want to hear the truth. So you need habits to gain focus and momentum and improve your daily life and get the willpower you need to accomplish more in your life. So we talked about how to choose your first habit, about choosing the most important habits for you. So how to choose your first habit. So deciding on new habits to form in your life is all about what you can achieve. If you know you're not going to achieve something that is really far out there, well, maybe let's establish that. Go for far out there. So slowly you can start establishing mini goals or micro wins, like I call it, so you can get there one day. And the reality is, what do you want the end result to be? You got to be thinking about that. Is that like finish line in a race, right? When choosing a good habit to start with, choose something you can do today, right now. Yes. It can be making a freaking bed in the morning, flossing twice a day, making your own breakfast instead of picking up donuts on the way to work. These are very simple habits, but ones that ultimately will do wonders for you. So what is a smart one? What is a small and a smart habit to start with? Well, again, depends on what your goals are, right? But when you create new habits, there are two important things to remember. You should start with just one habit at a time. Yes, you heard me right. One. It's not 10, it's not 5. Okay? Let's start with one. And you want to start small, right? So you may have a vision of this complex and intricate lifestyle habits you want to develop one day, which is fantastic. I want you to do this. I want you to dream big. And lifestyle habits are dreaming big because it's about your health, it's about your energy, it's about you being your best here on this Mother Earth. But it's difficult to keep up with more difficult and elaborate habits when you haven't started with the simple ones. Yes. I know I'm not saying anything new to you. Well, likely it's not new. We got to be reminded of those things. It's like running a mile versus running a marathon. If you can run a mile, how can you run a marathon? You start with the mile first, or in this case, this small and simple habit. So a lot of folks come to me very dehydrated. And instead of giving them a goal, I says, okay, you're going to achieve by tomorrow. You want to increase, let's say that is going to be by 50 ounces of water, more than that this person is used to. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. We're going to say, okay, how much you're drinking today? Well, I have no idea. Okay, let's start tracking. But on average, what do you think you're drinking? Okay, drinking this much. Our goal is for that. So I think how do you think it's realistic for us to achieve that goal by end of next week? I don't know. Okay, so I help them plan. Okay, so here is how we're going to start. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, they're like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. So that's how you want to start, okay? So you want to celebrate by the end of the day. So learning new habits. So sometimes we got to learn some stuff, right? You will come to a point when you want to develop other healthy habits, which is great news. Just make sure your previous new habits have become, well, habitual. That's it. These should be things you do every day without really thinking about it. So as a good place to start, try to do each habit for at least 30 days before moving on to the next. Now, everybody works differently, right? And some people have a pace that is like, give it to me now and give it all to me and I'll get it done. I've worked with those people too. And I work with some people who are like, no, one at a time. And it's going to be in a very slow pace. It is very unique to you in what you need. What I want is for you to achieve. That's the same thing you want. So you say, yes, this is, second nature to me. So is your habit not working by any chance? If that's the case, don't feel like you have to stick to a new habit forever. If it isn't working for you, just remember why you want to change or stop it. It shouldn't be because it's too hard or you just don't want to do it anymore, or maybe it's because you don't feel it's benefiting you like another habit in its place would. Meaning that if it is because you know that something else will benefit you the most, then yes, that's potentially a good reason for you to stop, right? It's very important for you to think about your values and associate your values with your goals and your habits. So yes, the habits are going to be, okay, I want to build this new habit because ultimately it's going to help me achieve this goal. Now, these values and these goals are related to my values, right? I mentioned habits and goals are related to my values. Otherwise, you're going to be going around and failing in a way that you feel like you wasted your time. So always try to hook up, your activities with your values. And that is priceless. And that is golden as well for your success. So that's it for today, my friend. I would love to hear about your childhood story, the one that you couldn't get enough of. And can you tell how much of a role has it played in your life? And why do you think you loved it so much? Take your time to think about this, like I did. And going back in this memory lane might bring so much joy to you, just like did for me. And as far as building new habits, we've covered some foundational ground about habits since we started this mini-series. And we're going to continue. So all you need to do now is the actual work. So if you've just been listening and not doing any of the homework, I recommend you go back to the last few episodes and do the work. And of course, I would love to help you. Just, be ready to go. Go to bfabbu.com, book a call, and let's rock and roll. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing this episode with others in your life. And, leave us a review as well if you're listening this on Apple Podcast. And share your feedback. That will help the show to grow and reach more awesome people just like you. In next episode, we'll talk about healthy habits that you can start ASAP. Yes, we're still talking about habits. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the BFABU Made Simple podcast. Can you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave it a rating. It helps the podcast and I really appreciate it. If you're wondering where to start, head over to my website, linked in the show notes, to sign up to receive encouragement, tips, and strategies to maximize results. While you're there, download a free health guide to get you started today. If you're looking for a coach and trainer to help you optimize your weight, body, and health, get on my calendar. Let's discuss your goals, establish a custom plan, implement it, and celebrate your results. Together, we can do this. Find the link to schedule a free energy audit strategy session also in the show notes. Connect with me on social media. I would love for you to let me know that you're listening to the show. Also, see the show notes for the links. In addition to a qualified healthcare practitioner, it's important that you have someone in your corner who is in for you and will help you to plan and stay on track implementing your goals. Are you ready? Let's rock and roll this boat. I will see you on the next episode of BFABU Made Simple. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for health care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.